and thank you to everybody over in New Zealand and thereabout to share your time with us, and we can cover the latest innovations and solutions with our physical security system for UniFi. And really, the reason why we describe it as a system is because of what UniFi has become over the years. Um, it is truly a full stack technology platform that's magically unified under a single interface. So when we talk about physical security, we're really focused on the video surveillance technology, especially the AI features that I'll be covering extensively in this webinar, as well as access control systems. Um, of course, we're going to be pushing heavily in this area with the new technology that we've released in beginning of 2025 and the end of 2024. And one thing to make sure everybody's aware of is that the site manager, this is our management plane with zero licensing costs. So by now, you know UniFi is synonymous with no licensing, is also where you come to look at your video feeds for multiple sites. So site manager is really important for your physical security as well and monitoring. But you can think of this as global scalability, infinite scalability for organizations of all sizes. And the preferred way to deploy the control plane for your sites is using our UniFi consoles. The term UniFi console is going to refer to and really replace the antiquated term controller. The console is really a dedicated hardware device, such as an NVR or a cloud gateway that hosts the applications used to manage the devices on your site. So many of you are already familiar with the UniFi software, but if you're not using these consoles, you're really missing out on the best part of UniFi since around 2020 when we launched the first UniFi Cloud Gateway, the Dream Machine Pro, which is pictured here, the Max version. So when we talk about full stack UniFi, we're referring to all the different applications, network, of course, you can see here, the protect application as well, and access. And these are going to be the two applications I'll focus on during this presentation. However, it's worth pointing out that with UniFi Talk, you can also, manage things like open up the door from your business VoIP phones. We've got SIP integration as well with our intercoms coming. The Connect application as well is built into these consoles. This is for bringing smart features to the building. So we have these Connect display monitors. You can also run UniFi Protect app on there to have monitoring features built in. And another application we've also got here, which interestingly ties into physical security, is of course UniFi Drive. We launched this toward the end of last year. Another type of console, our network attached storage, and this is the first of other technology we'll be coming out with in this market. And the ability to be able to back up all of your video recordings seamlessly and continuously as they're recording also proves very, very useful. Some of you have already heard of UniFi Identity. This is going to be built into all the consoles. Another important reason to be using these consoles, which are, of course, license free. And really, this allows an IT manager to streamline access permissions to different resources on the network. So once you've adopted all of your cameras, once you've adopted all of your readers and your hubs are running, now you can start to create these policies and push them out to users. So when they bring their telephone or their laptop onto the site, it's one click to get on the VPN, it's one click to get on the Wi-Fi, it's one click to open a door, making all this a real breeze and zero headache whatsoever. So there's two categories of consoles I'm going to focus on for this presentation. Some of our cloud gateways also support the physical security applications needed to manage your cameras, your door access hubs and readers. Those are going to include the Dream Machine Pro Max, the Pro Special Edition, and the Pro itself. These are rack mounted, great for small to medium businesses that have a wide number of cameras. But anything that's going to be pushing northward of like 20 cameras into the hundreds of cameras or thousands of cameras category, you're really going to want to opt for a dedicated NVR, which I'll cover in just a second. The Dream Wall, of course, also supports all the applications, including the physical security applications. This is really great for a business or a company that's looking for just a single all-in-one device that sits up on the wall, has a built-in PoE switch, 12 of the 16 ports that provide PoE++ out. PoE++ is, of course, needed to power some of those hub devices, which we'll cover in just a minute. The UCG Max is a more compact version of the Dream Machine Pro. It's going to support many of the same functions, but with an NVMe M2 drive built into it, or expansion slot if you buy the version without the built-in drive. So all in all, like I said, these consoles, they're available in many different flavors for different site sizes. The NVRs are highly recommended for any site or organization that has multiple sites. You have one or more of these NVRs at a particular site, and they scale infinitely with the number of cameras that you have. A great resource if you're planning a new installation and you don't know how many NVRs you need, how many hard drive bays you need, how many hard disks you need, depending on how many days of storage you want, and what type of cameras, whether they're HD, 2K, or 4K, is calculator.ui.com. I recommend everybody bookmark that and use that tool if they're not already using it. It's going to allow you to compare and contrast the eNVR, the UNVR Pro, and some of the other models of like cloud gateways. But here you can see we've got consoles for virtually every type of installation. So again, just to reiterate, full stack is the preferred way to be running your control plane today at each of your customer sites. It usually consists of a cloud gateway and one or more of these other consoles, including the NVRs, your NAS, or your cloud keys as well. Partial stack, this is basically just a standalone software, and it does not support the physical security applications. And again, for UniFi identity, to be able to give identity-based access to resources on the network, you need these cloud consoles. They can also be run locally without any connectivity to the cloud, but because our site manager, our management plane is free of licensing, it really does make sense just to have that all connected. All right, so getting more into the actual physical security side, this is basically the architecture of UniFi. You need an internet connection if you're going to rely on any type of remote access. But like I said, you don't have to have remote access. The main way that UniFi differentiates itself and makes it us a leader in this area, besides the fact that there's of course no licensing, is also local storage. This is all locally processed by your edge devices, your AI devices. Nothing is going to the cloud unless you give that option. You enable that option with things like Google Drive, Dropbox, the popular cloud providers for backing up your recordings. The cloud gateway and consoles, as we mentioned, these are going to have really tight integration with powerful hardware. The software is very intelligent. We have AI enhanced recordings and analytics. I'll be covering some of those as well. But particularly when you use the enterprise NVR model, you're going to notice that there's extremely low latency. The time to opening up a recording, whether you're on the other side of the world and looking at an alert and have to open up or perform an AI search to find some kind of keywords that are associated, metadata tagged on your recordings. All of this is loading very, very fast in real time. And on the actual device side, we break up into two categories. You've got your surveillance devices, of course, our AI cameras with smart detections and license plate recognition, facial recognition, but also things like floodlights and sensors. And then there's also entry access, doors, your gates, your elevators, all of those can be made into controlled access and entryways or exitways with readers added to them, credentials, and of course intercoms for visitor access or communicating with users on site. All right, so the final piece of software I want to mention here is called Vantage Point. And Vantage Point is essentially a way to unify multiple different NVRs or multiple different sites under a single dashboard to be able to see all of your cameras across those different sites. And there's no hard limit on the number of cameras you can have on each of these sites. It's really more dependent on the NVR. So if you're looking for high scalability, you should generally opt for the dedicated NVRs or the enterprise NVR itself. But there's no reason why you can't also have cloud gateways with Protect running under the Vantage Point. And of course, there's no licensing fees here. This is all available directly under UniFi.ui.com. So I've got an instance of Vantage Point available right now. Creating a new Vantage Point instance is really, really easy. You just select the actual sites that you want to add to your Vantage Point instance, and you can have unlimited number of instances. So here we have up to 5 NVRs. You can see here I've got 5 different sites all selected, managed under here, and able to see them in real time. And all of those features are also available, like some of our AI features, smart detections, and we'll take a look at that in just a minute. Now, coming back to the presentation, the Vantage Point software is built into UniFi.ui.com, and it's very easy to set up different groups of that. But here's an example deployment. Typically, you would have a cloud gateway. You might want to add some more consoles, dedicated NVRs if you're going to be monitoring hundreds of cameras or thousands of cameras. But yeah, our system is a true plug and play solution, PoE. Whether it's your hubs or your surveillance devices, the hubs also provide PoE output. But here are some of the examples of the integration. I mentioned some of them earlier, like, because UniFi Talk, our voice over IP system, allows you to, manage your phones. You can also open up doors or screen visitors from the phone itself. So it's all about creating more and more integrations and managing the entire IT solution at a site. License plate recognition to be able to open up gates, facial recognition to automatically open up doors. It's all about cultivating like the most advanced solution there is available as far as software and hardware on the market today, and providing all of this without any licensing. So you can instantly adopt cameras to these NVRs. It's like I said, private local storage, ultra low latency. We have pretty much a different type of camera for every single instance you can imagine, bullets, domes. But one thing I'll also point out here is that the viewport device allows you to convert any HDMI display into a UniFi Protect display. And you can create these matrices with up to 16 different camera views in real time. Our mobile apps are excellent as well. You go to the Play Store or the App Store for iOS, and you're going to see that most of the most important functions that are built in natively to the desktop browser are also available, like being able to see smart detections or review and adopt your cameras. And speaking of cameras, we launched a bunch of new cameras toward the end of last year. The AI cameras that you see virtually all of our cameras since Generation 4, Generation 5 support what's called AI smart detections. And that's essentially the ability to classify recordings as, was there a human detected? Was there a vehicle detected? Was there an animal? Was there some type of sound like glass breaking? Um, and for more advanced AI detections, we're talking license plate recognition and facial recognition. You should generally look for the cameras that have the term AI in the name itself. So resolution 4K on these latest AI turret, AI dome. Um, and of course, your field of view is going to influence your pixels. So if you're looking for, you know, a high resolution, high chance of correct detections, you generally want to have a smaller field of view over the resolution that's being provided by the sensor of those cameras. So AI 360, it's going to have a lot of the AI detections, but you're going to have much better results if you use a camera with a smaller field of view. So another example of that would be like our AI DSLR. This falls under the bullet category. It's using with a wide lens, 52-degree field of view versus a 35-degree field of view. And again, that's over that powerful sensor that comes built into these cameras. Another camera that we launched toward the end of last year was the license plate recognition model of our bullet camera. And this is really optimized for recognizing license plates of vehicles that are moving at fast velocity, or vehicles that are moving around at night. So it's got a little bit better IR night vision for the specific intent purpose of license plates. So if you're trying to cover the highways where you're recognizing license plates of vehicles, or neighborhoods where you're opening up with controlled access for gates to residents or viewers or visitors, then the LPR is really an ideal solution. But you can also count on the AI Pro and the AI DSLR to be able to handle that, especially during daytime. We have a couple of PTZ models as well. And of course, these are going to provide you with a really great experience, particularly as it relates to like latency. As I mentioned, when you compare side by side a PTZ camera from another manufacturer, especially on top of our software, you're going to notice that these devices are very responsive and give you exceptional quality video. And the compact series of cameras, these are basically all of our other cameras. We have, including the AI thetas, the ability to have advanced AI detections for facial recognition. These are going to be ideal for retail spaces, Doorbell Pro. This is going to be on the exterior of your buildings. Comes with multiple cameras for detecting packages and being able to have dual bidirectional conversations, two-way audio. Our Wi-Fi camera, the G4 Instant, as well. Now, these are all of our cameras, but since July of last year, you've also been able to bring cameras from other vendors into the UniFi Protect software for management without any licensing, of course. The only requirement is that they have ONVIF protocol compliance. And this is particularly great when you consider the most important two pieces of hardware in the Protect family that we launched at the end of last year. The first of which is the AI port. Now, this is an appliance that basically takes any third-party camera, those ONVIF cameras that are essentially dumb cameras, not really intelligent. They don't have the AI detection, classification, recognition capabilities, and turns it into a sophisticated AI enhanced camera. You can also do this with our UniFi cameras from Generation 4 and Generation 5 that will bring the face and license plate recognition. So many of you who've been waiting for these features to come to the G4, G5 cameras, that's also going to be available. And before we get the question, because we usually do get this question, the plan here is to be able to support multiple cameras with a single AI port appliance. So I believe currently it's multiple UniFi cameras or a single OnVIF camera. That could be changing soon or already have changed on me to be able to support more cameras. And the place where you can go see that is, of course, on our help center. There's a completely dedicated article on the AI port. And another, perhaps more important technology that's really making us an emerging leader in the protect space for video surveillance is the AI key. So this is going to fall under what we call AI edge computing. It's taking the resource intense processes of detecting and scanning through all of these recordings and doing the work of metadata, and doing this offloading onto a specific device so that the cameras, even if they're not the AI cameras themselves that handle that, so we're talking G4, G5 series, as well as your third-party OnVIF cameras, you're able to enable that face and license plate recognition on them, but also generate, more importantly, detailed descriptions for events, perform sophisticated search functions using natural language, classify these detections using those tags, transcribe speech events. All of this is happening, and you can control exactly what types of processes your AI keys are doing and the scope for how many cameras you want to do this for. Also, things like being able to sharpen the face recognition images for enhanced identification. Now, before you guys ask, because we also do tend to get this question, is how many cameras can a single AI key handle? And it really is dependent on the number of processes and tasks that it does. These are very powerful pieces of hardware. When you go into the software, and I'll do that actually right now, I'll show kind of how you would configure one of these, but you would have multiple, for a camera site with hundreds of cameras, ideally you would have many of these AI keys to be able to handle these resource intense tasks in real time. So let's take an actual instance right now. I was doing a quick search before the webinar, looking up things like, a red Toyota, for example, and that came up pretty well. It was showing before. Let's come now to man wearing a hat with a green bag. Yeah, so you can see here a man with a hat and a green bag, and it's very, very quick how it shows this. When I come to the dashboard and I click on a site, you can see that this, again, is a site on the other side of the world. I believe this is in Costa Rica. I'm not locally located there, and this is all loading very, very quick in real time. You can see here as well in real time. But yeah, this is the find anything feature, as we're calling it. You can perform this function on any number of cameras, for any particular number of events, whether you want to do it for people, for vehicles, specifically name, I only want to see the red vehicles that were detected. For cameras that have the AI features, you're going to see the license plate actually showing up there in the top left corner. And then you're going to see, of course, the description being summarized. So this saves you the time of actually having to watch for 5 minutes or 2 minutes or spend hours and hours sifting through footage and get a very quick summary of each individual recording. So these are some very, very cool technologies. I highly recommend you guys get your hands on an AI key to be able to start playing around with this and really improve the abilities of your sites. So I'm going to also show you guys just the type of, you can see here camera coverage. We're doing this on approximately 26 cameras. The number of detections that are occurring. Once this camera gets kind of saturated, with usage, you're going to get a warning that will say, hey, the AI key is at kind of its peak. You probably should upgrade and add another AI key to be able to handle all these detections. If you want to reduce or offload some of those AI intensive features, you're just going to come here and enable or disable the particular features that you want. So computer vision enhancement, again, this is the ability to categorize objects so that when you come and you type in to that search field like man with weapon, you're going to be able to produce those search results. And that's probably the most important feature, being able to very quickly find exactly what you're looking for. Man with weapon. I think we could expect to see a lot of recordings with a police officer, somebody with holding a knife, something that's going to be detected that looks like a type in man with machete. Let's get a little bit more specific. You can see here, I guess in Costa Rica they carry a machete on them, including a weapon. All right, and then you can see here the AI keys also being importantly populated, their information on this dashboard as well. But the approximate capacity for one of these enterprise NVRs, we're talking hundreds of cameras. It's not even struggling to handle. Here we have somewhere around about 40, 50 cameras currently. Just exceptional quality. And of course, your quality is also going to be dependent on your remote connection and your local connection. So if the bandwidth is any struggle for your connection, then the enterprise NVR or the MVR is going to adaptively adjust the bit rate to handle and match your connection. All right, so coming back to the presentation now, those two pieces of hardware, the AI port and the AI key, are extremely important devices. The AI dome, as I mentioned, one of our newer AI cameras, and the AI turret. These also feature micro SD card support for edge recording. So if you're looking for additional redundancy in how you recording to the NVR, but maybe it loses connectivity to the NVR, so it's going to offload to the SD card. Of course, we've also got the ability to be able to push those recordings out to cloud providers, which I'll talk about in just a minute. The G5 PTZ, as I mentioned, has very, very low latency. But another thing to point out with these PTZ cameras and all of our cameras really is the sheer number of accessories that come with these cameras you can buy to support any number of installations in exteriors and interiors. Dual camera mount, this is another example as well. And the last piece of technology in the Protect stack that I want to mention which is brand new. We launched, I believe, last week on Monday, we announced. If you want to learn about these products, make sure you're signed up with our newsletter and our YouTube page, and you'll learn as soon as they're announced. Essentially, SuperLink is our proprietary solution for basically getting IoT connectivity to all of your sensors. And what really sets this apart, and the reason why we're opting for something that's proprietary, is the ability to hit multi-kilometer range with impressive scalability. So this is really intended for businesses that are looking for high availability, uptime, and ultra low latency to all of those sensors to be able to integrate with the alarm and sensor manager that's built into the Protect software. So you can see here on the left-hand side, whenever you're creating a new alarm, you're going to specify the trigger. What type of activity or incident is triggering the alarm, whether it's somebody's face that was recognized, license plate recognition. You can also create things like a person of interest. Maybe the authorities are looking for a particular person. You've uploaded a photo of that person, and you're going to be able to in the software create these triggers so that we're notified when this person of interest is detected. Other things like activity, motion, animals, but of course the sensors as well, as I mentioned. So the first piece of hardware we've launched here is the gateway itself. And the way that we get this multi-kilometer range is by using a very low frequency. But this is also going to, very importantly, integrate with your existing UniFi sensors. So many of you guys have already deployed the Bluetooth sensors, and those are working great with the UniFi access points. But in order to kind of segment your clients, and that is your Wi-Fi infrastructure from the actual sensor infrastructure, it's really generally recommended to have these super links deployed for the sensors themselves, because you want your collision domains at your access points. They're again using all the same channel, and so you want your high bandwidth access points to be dedicated for clients. And then these super links are really great for bringing on those low throughput, but might have hundreds of devices in a particular site, or thousands of sensors at a particular site. And I believe these have support for somewhere around like 96 sensors, if I'm not mistaken. So again, when you're creating these alarms, you can specify the sensors or the cameras, that is the scope of devices that you're including or excluding, and then the actions that you want to take, whether you're notifying admins, maybe you're pushing out a message with webhooks. You can also do creative things like send Slack messages or SMS, or integrate with some of the popular like home monitoring systems, smart things, etc. But as far as the integrations go within the UniFi ecosystem, you've got the ability to unlock doors based on, I've created this rule: whenever a license plate is recognized, or whenever a face of a particular user is recognized, let's unlock, but let's also send alarms and alerts to admins for monitoring. The case manager is a pretty useful way to add evidence review into case studies and like collaborate with other users, admins specifically, or even law enforcement. You can archive these recordings instantly to the cloud, down them to a device, and provide your own kind of descriptions for building these cases of incidents. As I mentioned, we have continuous backup and archiving support now with our cameras. So this is really going to enable things like backups to popular providers, but also to your NAS. And the fact that we have our UniFi NAS solution also makes this an enticing way to back up your storage without having costly monthly costs. Again, UniFi is all about removing any idea that you're going to have licensing costs. This is all optional. And of course, with our NAS, you don't pay any of that. You just have a one-time hardware cost, and your hardware is yours. We never turn it off because you didn't pay your licensing. All right, so really quickly, I'm going to go through the access stuff because we're about at the halfway mark, and I want to have time for question and answer. But this has recently been updated. We've had a number of new access methods get supported in the last quarter. Starting in the top left, we've always had our mobile apps, specifically the UniFi Access app, but also the UniFi Identity app for native instant ability to open up doors, and being able to do this not only as an admin, but also create these what are called receivers, and you assign these receivers to particular door entryways. So I can create groups of users who are able to open up a door, maybe the receptionists in the north side of the building, but the receptionist can't get to the south side of the building, so we have some other people assigned to those particular doors. Other technologies like facial recognition, we've had that for a while, license plate recognition, and intercom terminal, as well as a directory built in there. So that's useful for car parks, any residence that has multiple dwelling units. Basically, there's pretty much every access method here today that you're going to see in any corporate or business environment or residential environment. And if there is anything else you guys are looking for, you should know that we're working on it, and you can be specific about things you're looking for in the question and answer, and we'll try our best to get this in your hands. The intercom viewers are also available. These are really useful for maybe you have a resident corporate site with each office has a viewer. You can unlock and have bidirectional communication, generating QR codes for visitors, a one-time QR code, doorbell as well, being able to slide or touch to ring a door to contact those receivers, receptionists at the site. PIN codes. Many of our uh, access readers have a touchscreen with PIN support. I think we just launched the Flex reader, Generation 3, which also allows you to push that PIN using like gloves and NFC cards as well. You can bring your own NFC or use ours. We've also got TouchPass since the end of quarter 4. So being able to bring your Apple devices natively. I believe we've also got our key fobs as well. But virtually any NFC cards or fobs you can also bring to the UniFi Access ecosystem. Fingerprint reader built into the G4 Protect doors. So this is also worth mentioning there. Phone unlock, as I mentioned, our phones, you can add those as receivers in your call groups. Motion detection, request to enter, request to exit buttons, and yeah. The access control hub, here's a kind of high level view of what this is all about. Essentially, for every door or entryway or exit or gate or elevator, anywhere where you have controlled access, you're going to have one of these hubs. And the hub does a number of things. At the top, you can see there's an input for PoE, and this uses PoE++. So make sure that you're providing PoE++ power, and you'll be able to get PoE output for your readers, your cameras, as well as your intercom. The intercom is going to connect to this device as well. A few other things to point out here. You've got your outputs and inputs for different relays and accessories. We're talking push buttons, motion sensors, emergency alarm systems, door position sensors, operators for external, motorized gate operators, any number of relays as well, whether it's a powered relay that you want from the hub itself, or you're going to provide a dry relay without power because you're relying on some external power source. Our access control hubs are designed to support any number of access ways. Another thing to point out here is that the credentials for your users are all locally stored and securely stored on these access control hubs. So in case they lose connectivity back to the console, then no problem. You've still got a secure access way. And speaking of no problem, quick start kits are available for all types of access ways. Here's our quick start kit for pretty much any door. It's going to consist of the hub, and it comes with a Pro reader, which has pretty much all of the supported access methods that I mentioned. PIN, doorbell, NFC, TouchPass, pretty much everything. And then for more simple, like the exit way, or just like motion, or NFC, you've got the simple reader as well. And it also comes with some key fobs as well for entry. In pretty much all these scenarios, of course, you're going to have a cloud gateway on site or a console capable of supporting this. That also includes the NVRs as well. But the Access Reader Ultra is an all-in-one device that does the hub and the reader function on a single apparatus. So on the back here, you can see two different relays, one for the lock itself, as well as one for the door exit request. So if somebody's got a push to exit button on site, you could have one of these tamper-resistant access readers installed. The enterprise grade hub is going to be ideal for controlled entry exit control for up to 8 doors. And we call this enterprise grade because the idea is rather than have one of these for each door, you would have one of these in a closet or in a server room, and then run to each of your doors the particular wiring. This also supports external battery backup for more high availability. Again, if you're relying on this for powered door openings. And we have a quick start kit is available as well for any site with elevators, which includes a reader with PoE extenders for converting existing wiring on site into a PoE native solution. The intercom terminal is ideal for any of these sites that have, as I said, multi-dwelling units, offices with multiple different departments, and you want to have one of these viewers at every single terminal location. So, or excuse me, every single location where you might be screening. So whether it's a residence or it's an office, we recommend having the viewers paired there. You don't necessarily need the viewer in order to use the intercom terminal, but generally it's a great solution. You can see here the intercom connects to the hub. The hub and the viewers connect to the PoE switch. The Pro Reader, as we also mentioned, supports viewer integration. So if you want to have a two-way conversation over these viewers, you can also rely on those Pro Readers and not just the intercom terminal. And lastly, I'll point out we have our quick start kit for gate access. So this is similar to the other start kits. It's going to have a hub. This hub has a number of different relays, up to 2 gate operator relays for opening, double wide gates as well, but also things like door positioning. You've got your emergency inputs as well, door exit requests, gate position, etc. And perhaps the most important thing to point out here is that this supports license plate unlock support when it's paired with a compatible Protect AI camera. So any of our AI cameras that have the license plate recognition features, AI Pro, AI DSLR, and of course the AI LPR, those are ideal for pairing. So just to review here, the access hubs, we also have our door hub mini, which is a more compact version of the door hub, about 75% smaller form factor with most of the same features, just a few less outputs and inputs as well. As I mentioned, the Reader Flex is one of the newer readers that we launched toward the end of last year. This has also been updated for all of the Generation 3 models. Any of you that are curious about what the difference is between G2 and G3, really the main difference here is the support for Apple Wallet, that TouchPass support. But virtually all the other features you're going to see available on G2 and G3 identically. We also have some door locks if you're looking for an all 100% Ubiquiti solution. But if you've got existing door locks on site that you just want to tie into our hubs, that's also fine. You just have to make sure that they can be powered using our 12 volt 1 amp relay, or if it's a lock that uses its own power source, well then you're just going to disable the power relay on that particular circuit. And a couple more things to point out. So with access, it's very easy to create these access policies for groups of users. You could have, departments that have different schedules, access to different readers and different areas, hubs in different parts of the building. And then the caller manager is where you're going to come to create sort of your directory and manage which admins and which users and which devices, which viewers, which chimes receive the notifications whenever somebody is contacting a door, trying to get access. So this is all very easy to create in the UniFi Access software. So that's pretty much it for the presentation. I will also quickly open it up for some Q&A. I think we have about 6 minutes of Q&A, and thank you all for your patience during the presentation today. And maybe I will hand off the microphone first to Simon from our channel partner to read some of those questions for us and query some of those questions for us.
Sure thing. All right. The first question we got was around talk and availability in New Zealand. Um, my understanding was the talk is available in the US, Mexico, and Canada, but the third-party integration is available here in New Zealand.
Uh, I know we're working on getting, so just to clarify here, UniFi Talk is available with third-party SIP. So you can have UniFi Talk running in any region today. Just to clarify for anybody who's curious about, I've got some of my own phones, or I've got my own SIP trunking and I want to use the UniFi phones. So those are both already available today. You can bring your own phones to UniFi Talk. You can also use our phones with third-party SIP. But the specific question here is whether you can use UniFi Talk as your your PBX and your SIP in your particular region. And I think we're working hard on getting that in Asia, Latin America. Currently, though, I believe it's just available in US, Canada, and some of Europe.
The next one was about the AI cameras. With the AI device or AI cameras, can we detect license plates and trigger dry ports to unlock a gate? I think you answered that question with the hub gate and the gate starter kit.
Yeah, why don't I actually just come to the software itself? Let's see if I've got a gate that I can maybe even just quickly show. Let's come to. All right, here's a hub gate. I was looking for a particular hub that's for these gate scenarios. And here you can see you can manage this with a particular camera. If I had my AI camera listed under here, I would just go ahead and select it there. And then now it's officially paired with that. And then what you can do is come to the terminal manager and specify the actual action that's occurring for the particular relays, whether the gates closing is happening by operator, by the hub itself, or it's manually occurring. And there's going to be like built-in instructions for how you should make sure this is set up and deployed on site. You can also specify things like detection for cooldown, how quickly you want the license plate detection to cool down between when it's detected. This is going to prevent duplicate entries as well.
Cool. The next few questions were about, I believe it was at the Superlink. You haven't announced any of the sensors yet, but I imagine they were saying things like what gases can you detect, how detailed can pressure gauges be detected, things like that.
Yeah, so I think right out of the gate we're gonna have things like carbon monoxide, the key ones, right? I'm not sure what the particular details are on the full range, but we should have more details as that product becomes available. Certainly.
Cool. Someone was asking about the cameras. Is nighttime color rather than IR on the roadmap for the Protect camera range? I think we've got some camera vendors that utilize having full color. From my experience with the Ubiquiti range, if you use the G5 Pro with the G5 Enhancer, you get very good nighttime color events without IR.
Yeah, so
maybe onto you, Jamie. Yeah.
yeah, that I will also echo that. The enhancers really make it much better quality, whether it's nighttime, whether it's during day. Generally speaking, we also recommend having if you're looking for like a true color solution, have one of those floodlights that we have paired with your cameras, so that if you need color, then you're getting it in actual daylight like conditions with the floodlight shooting light onto the object of your attention in the scene.
Cool. Someone was asking about Home Assistant. So they're using the Protect integrated Home Assistant. Is there plans for that to be officially endorsed by Ubiquiti at this point in time? I think it's based on API hooks, sort of thing.
Yeah, like I mentioned, there's the ability to add the webhook under like the alarm manager. We've got a number of different parts of the UniFi software API support getting more fully fleshed out, like UniFi Access and UniFi Network being the main two to point out. But I kind of wonder what the question here is, like if it's like something we're going to officially endorse. I can't really speak on that. But yeah, as far as like if you're looking to do something today with your home assistant, definitely take advantage of the APIs and also the webhooks that are built into our alarm manager, which allow you to send, like actual, HTTP messages over to your um, your home assistant and do integrations over on that side.
Cool. We had a few questions, and I think you mentioned this to me just before we started the webinar about Android support and TouchPass, or Android support and their alternative to TouchPass.
Oh, it's not something I think we want to comment on yet, but yeah,
Okay,
we want to
cool.
be the most fully integrated, the most fully uh, advanced solution out there as far as like what's the latest technology people are using, what kind of devices people are bringing, and like a no fuss, really zero effort solution where just, hey, like how much do I have to actually spend in order to upgrade my sites? And the one of the main advantages of UniFi is the ability to put one of these cloud gateways on site with zero licensing, and if the customer decides tomorrow they want access, door access, then yeah, you can start to roll that out, and not have any like high cost to entry be a limitation there. Of course, with OnVIF and those cameras too, you can decide how quickly you want to roll out the AI features, but there's no reason why you can't convert somebody's OnVIF platform uh, into our software and start managing.
Cool. To answer Andrew's question about is the Android app available for as well as Apple Wallet there. Jamie did mention about using the mobile unlock, which is already supported with the likes of Identity as well. What happens in emergency situations with the likes of facial recognition? I guess it'll be a case of communication between console and hub, I would say.
Yeah, so it's my understanding that the hub is going to have the required data locally stored. So even if it loses connectivity back to the console itself, you're still going to have access control. And I have not personally tested it with facial recognition, but I would assume that's also available.
Just a few more quick questions. The Access Ultra, would you say that's suitable for external doors?
I believe it's outdoor rated. Let me double check though. And maybe one thing to point out to guys is if you go to
It is outdoor rated, by the way, Jamie.
Oh, okay, great. Yeah, I believe it's outdoor rated. Thanks, Andrew. If you're looking for a particular question regarding tech specs, just go to techspecs.ui.com, and you'll also find a litany of answers regarding specific capabilities, indoor, outdoor ratings, certifications, stuff like that.
I would even say as well, use your UniFi GPT as well. I've had some pretty good results from that.
For sure, for sure.
The last few, multi-site and console for one company, more than one physically located site, e.g. different addresses. So I guess that's one company, multiple access sites.
Yeah, so currently the way to support that is with UniFi Identity Enterprise. That's going to support multi-site resources for users that maybe are at site A on one day of the week, and then they go to site B a different day of the week, and keep them all under a kind of high level umbrella. Stay tuned. We're going to have some updates there in the near future.
Exciting. The last question was around the facial recognition. Is it accurate enough for timekeeping purposes?
Oh yeah. So with UniFi Access, just on the actual dashboard page itself, you're going to be able to see unlock activity. Maybe I could share my screen one more time all right. So I'm back on a UniFi Access instance. This is on the dashboard page, And the API is going to allow you to pull all this data. Anything you're seeing in here is basically something you can pull, whether you're putting it into Excel or into some database externally. But being able to see unlocked activity for specific users, I can even come here to actual users in the UniFi access system, and see, what's their activity when they were added, as far as how often they've been unlocking, whether it was something recent. You can see here somebody was unlocking 6 times back on the 22nd of December between that period. So again, all of this information could just be extrapolated, whether you want to integrate it with your own database or system, or just rely on the software we have here. And I should also point out that our software developers are really working active here. So if you guys are on the early access software, you can come to account.ui.com and sign up for early access, and you'll always have the latest UniFi software features on your devices and your consoles.
Nice one. Yeah, you put out some nice ones yesterday for the network, so that's all I'll say.
Great. Thanks, Simon.
No worries. Cool. That is everything. Really appreciate your time, and thanks everyone for joining today. Hopefully you got a lot out of it. If you do have any further questions, don't hesitate to reach out to me after the fact. Just simon@gowifi.co.nz. And again, thanks Jamie and Andrew for your time today. It's been fantastic, and hopefully everyone learned a lot. Thank you very much.